Hi, everyone. Andy Rizika here with STL TV. I'm joined by Michael Mueller, the Vice President, Research and Innovation at the Aperio Consulting Group. Thank you so much for coming on and being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. I'm glad to be here.
So there's this program that you're involved in. What can you tell me about strategies for this restaurant recovery plan?
Yeah, thanks for asking. The Strategies for Restaurant Recovery Program is a menu of creative solutions that help restaurants and help them deploy some strategies to really recover financially from some of the downturn that they may have experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic.
So what can you tell me, what are the benefits from being a part of this and doing this for the restaurants and for the community?
Yeah, well, at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, we began to see restaurants all adapt in their own way. And it was actually pretty emotional, frankly, to see the ways that the COVID-19 pandemic was impacting restaurants. And so seeing restaurants and seeing the way that they've been impacted, we realized that they were really struggling to get by and they were looking for solutions. At the same time, we noticed that there were a number of families who at the time, as they were dealing with online education and the way that the school systems were trying to deliver school digitally, these students were having a hard time adjusting to the new normal. And so they were looking for something meaningful to contribute to. And we thought, could we connect the two? Could we take an opportunity for students that had creative ideas and some creative energy and apply those creativity ideas to the restaurants?
So you had students involved. What can you tell me? What was the benefit to getting input from students?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. In fact, students were kind of the secret weapon here. Students, they have a totally different set of experiences than many business owners. And at Aperio, we do a lot of research. We try to apply the latest brain science to business solutions. And so we know that with things like strategic thinking, that cognitive diversity and a different set of experiences can be really useful in coming up with creative solutions. And so in this case, students and their totally different set of experiences were a secret weapon to come up with ideas that were outside of what we might call traditional solutions developed by restaurant owners.
So that's pretty interesting. What kind of ideas that stood out that the students came up with that most of the adults wouldn't have thought of?
Okay, I have to be honest, the one I'm going to share is the one that I'm most excited about participating in myself. But as we looked at all the ideas that they came up with, they found that ultimately they could be categorized into three primary categories. This idea of deepening relationships with your existing customers, extending your reach to new customers, and then this idea of creating experiences for your customers. I think we're going to see that after the physical distancing measures that many of us took during the COVID-19 crisis, that people are craving experiences. And so a lot of my favorite ideas came out of this experience bucket. One of them in particular was this idea of having individuals who might go to a restaurant and pick up a series of ingredients, and they might take those ingredients home and actually prepare the rest of the dish in the comfort of their own home. We love the idea of maybe even combining this with a cooking class of sorts so that you could highlight some of the signature dishes that restaurants have, some of their skills and their expertise in producing the dish itself. But ultimately, I think the whole idea here is, can we create an experience that's outside of the traditional experience of attending a restaurant that is safe for everybody, that highlights a restaurant, that generates some of the business that they may have lost, and all while creating a really great experience for the individuals.
Has this plan been maybe floated to any restaurants that have maybe you've tried to see how they would react to doing something like that?
It has. Our local Columbia, Missouri Chamber of Commerce was very helpful in helping us spread the word. They contacted all of the restaurants that are associated with the Chamber of Commerce, and we've gotten some pretty favorable response. The truth is, this is a menu of options, and so different restaurants in different markets and different geographies may find that some of the solutions are more relevant for them, but we've gotten some really great feedback.
So that's really interesting. I understand there's three kind of components of this plan: deepen relationship, expand reach, and creativity. Provides value. So what can you tell me about those three specific areas?
Yeah, that's a really great question. As we think about the economic downturn that many restaurants faced, and ultimately, what can they do to try to generate some of the revenue that may have been lost during these weeks that have occurred prior to this? We think about deepening relationships with current customers as a way of really building some loyalty with your existing customers, right? Finding ways to maybe start a membership program or some kind of cohort, some kind of experience for your existing customers to feel more connected to the restaurant, to the brands, to even get the word out on how they can participate and how they can invest in your restaurant. This idea of extending your reach through partnerships is this idea of finding existing events that are already occurring. Maybe there's a local farmers market. Maybe there's an event that's already occurring that you could simply attend and provide some of the food and some of the experience that you'd love to provide in maybe a new and creative way. We also thought of ways that you might be able to host events. Like maybe you typically have two primary times, like you typically have a large lunch hour and maybe a dinner hour. Well, could you extend your reach by partnering with a local like game factory that could provide games that you could play during the snack hour or the dessert hour to try to create business in those traditionally off times? And then the last one, as I mentioned before, is this idea of creatively providing value through experiences. And so we love the idea of trying to find any way to create a gamified experience. Ideas like, could you post a short quiz that would allow people to participate in the quiz, and it might generate a recommendation for what they should order from the menu? You know, I've noticed even in my own community that anytime you can have some sort of experience like that, it just adds some element of differentiation that could be really helpful. Again, the cooking class falls under that idea of experiences as well. But I think the idea of all of this is research shows that thinking with cognitive diversity, right, bringing in alternative ideas and new ideas is the key to leading with agility. And so all of these solutions are ideas that may be provocative in nature and give you an idea that wouldn't be in your normal sort of tool set for how to generate revenue for a restaurant. And so we're trying to find ways that we can bring in outside perspectives and provide examples that are a little bit different.
So I've noticed a lot of these plans that you're talking about, the interaction, the games, it's a lot of it is they want more from a restaurant, that more interaction, especially even the gaming field. Do you think even this younger crowd really feels that games in particular are pretty important to build a relationship?
That's a great question. I don't know that every market is going to have a relevant application for games, but it could certainly be a use for a restaurant that, you know, in the past has just delivered food, but they have all these unique assets they haven't leveraged before. They have culture, they have individuals they can highlight. They have perhaps even a venue, like a physical space that they could highlight. And games would be a way where you could just have some element of engagement that you'd invite people in to participate in your physical space, to maybe even play with members of the restaurant team. We're looking for ways that you could try to create experiences. You know, Andrew, many of us during the COVID-19 time, we find ourselves socially isolated while physically distancing. And I think as we're emerging out of the COVID-19 pandemic, many of us are longing for experiences. And so any organization that can say, do we have a product that we could turn into a service? Do we have a service that we could turn into experience? We'll have an opportunity to engage their customers on a deeper level.
So what has the response been, though, from the students seeing their plans kind of go beyond just talking about it and proposing it to?
Right. I love this part. The truth is, we love non-obvious thinking at Aperio Consulting Group. And I think many of us would have acknowledged at one time that restaurants needed to find solutions, right? It's maybe an obvious thought that they should be innovative. They should be creative to make up for some of the economic downturn that they experienced. But the non-obvious truth is that these students had a really competitive advantage. Their set of experiences that were totally different than restaurant owners gave them the opportunity to provide creative and unique value. And I think it's empowering for the students to recognize that their quote unquote lack of experience may be an advantage to providing creative solutions. What we learned along the way was just fascinating. And how can you moderate and facilitate their ideas where ultimately all the individuals, all the students came prepared with individual ideas, but the real magic was when we got together and we refined them as a group. And the students, just a quick little data point for you. We asked them this survey at the end, and we said on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did your best idea improve throughout the session? 0 being it didn't improve at all, 5 being my idea was improved, and 10 being the idea that was ultimately chosen could have never been created individually. And what we found is this idea of collective intelligence, that somehow the best ideas are not coming from some individual intelligence, but rather it's coming when a collective group comes together. They're contributing with one another and they're refining one another's ideas in a way that could never occur individually.
I love that group think and solution finding in a big group setting with, kids that had never been in the restaurant business before, but offer these
Right.
brand new ideas that, who knows, may really help the community.
We hope so. We've gotten some feedback from restaurants before that as they've tried one or two of these ideas, and the menu has, upwards of 20 total ideas. But as individual restaurants are trying just one or two, we've seen that it's been the catalyst to just generate some buzz, generate some activity, and really help them land on their feet.
So where can business owners find some of these plans and things you've come up with?
Yeah, thank you. Anybody is welcome to visit our website at thinkaperio.com/COVID-19. We've hosted a series of webinars there that are there as well, but the restaurant recovery plan is going to be at the top, and it's available for anyone who would like to access it.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate your time, and good luck saving the economy of all these businesses.
Well, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That was Michael Mueller, and stay tuned to STL TV Experience St. Louis.